Hello, my name is Jasmine Lee, and I am not your mama's astrologer. Here we are again, early Monday morning, because I just can't seem to pull myself together on the weekend to get this weekly forecast to you, and that's okay. That's okay. Who doesn't like starting their Monday together? So, last week, astrologically, felt a little looser, felt a little nicer, felt a little gentler. Hopefully you also felt that way. That's my greatest hope for you. I felt that way, though sometimes I feel that when you finally loosen the reins a bit, you feel how very tight they had been held in the first place. My hands are sore. So this week is one of a hard week that will continue into another hard week, just because there's a lot of tension in the sky. There's a lot of power dynamics, I want to say, but most of the time these power dynamics are really separated between actual and mental. What's really going on versus what we choose to stress about, what we choose to take on. To me, this is very holiday chic because we're all making choices throughout the day. This is the kind of week where if you can take stuff off your table, do it. I think I said that last week, but it continues because when we're doing erroneous things that we don't need to be doing, I think I said that word last week too. Must be a word that I am enjoying and living rent-free in my brain. But when you are doing things that are unnecessary, it kind of gets in the way of the things that are necessary. So I think what this astrology keeps trying to push us towards, keeps guiding us into, is getting down to priorities. What matters the most right now? And that's your homework this week. Figuring out what in your little world, or big world as it were, really needs the attention right now, really needs the juice, really needs the you that makes things work, and focus on those things. Because there's always going to be a dish to do, a shirt to fold. You know me, I am a righteous anti-laundry person. I was supposed to do loads of laundry this weekend and it didn't happen, so there's still loads of laundry. So interesting. Seems that no matter where I go, there I am. And that's us. That's all of us. We're all in an iteration of self that repeats over and over and asks, is this ready to change? Is this ready to move? Apparently for me, laundry is not that thing. And that's okay. I deeply love and respect myself. That's fine. That's what I do with the kids. We tap after class and we say, no matter what, I deeply love and respect myself, because I think that sometimes letting ourselves down can be the hardest part of living in this life, is that sometimes we let people down, but more often than not, I think we're constantly letting ourselves down. And there is this notion this week. We start off today with Mars squaring Saturn. So our warrior and our lesson keeper are having a little throwdown in the park, so to speak. And lessons be lessening right now. And maybe we might feel a little bit of that aftershock of how hard it's been lately. So we might be a little grumps. We might be a little short. We also are starting off the week with a moon in Leo and the sun in Sag. Double fire. Double wants to equal parts play and just say the damn thing. So then also when you add Mars squaring Saturn, there's almost like a resistance against wanting to get the work done, a resistance against wanting to listen to anybody else, against wanting to gauge the situation and speak accordingly. I think that there might be a fancy-free feeling to this that might get us in a little bit of trouble. We might feel a little quarrelsome. We might feel a little intense. And I want to invite that in, because both can live and we can still be grown-ass people who can function. But I want you to be aware of the grown-ass people who really can't function, because there's loads of those too. Be aware of the people around you who in your world seems to be at a breaking point. Maybe either A, avoid those people, B, be quiet around those people, or C, see if there's a way you can help those people. But the helping part helping's the sunny side of control. So truly, I think it's a moment where we all need to sort ourselves, and how people sort themselves is a psychosis all its own. So really the magic is sorting yourself, sorting your own needs, wants, desires, and moving forward, because there's going to be tension today no matter what, and things might be said, and there might be a little bit of gnarliness in the sky, and how that affects your chart is going to be personal to you, but it's going to affect everybody's chart in some way, shape, or form. So just be aware. Sometimes I feel like people see astrology as fortune telling or silly or woo woo, and to me, you aren't one of those people or you wouldn't be listening. However, to those people I say, oceans get moved by the moon. Our periods get moved by the ocean and the moon. I tend to lean towards the sky knows better than me where to put my energy. And it's truly just an inquiry in the first place. No one's forcing anybody to do anything. You want to have that fight? Bitch, you go have that fight. You go and enjoy it, and some of us like fighting, and some of us need that. And when hard astrology happens in the sky, like Mars, our warrior, and Saturn, our lesson keeper, combine in a hard aspect, it's really just asking us to be aware of what is feeling sticky right now, to be aware of where we want to fight and butt up against our life a little bit. And both things can be true. Those things can be going on, but we also don't have to buy into the fanfare of it either. What we do is we meet astrology with awareness, so that when astrology be astrologing, you can just say, hi, okay, yeah. I knew Mercury retrograde was coming, and I heard it was going to be a hard one, but I had no idea how hard. And it did give me comfort in moments when it was its hardest to say, Mercury is retrograde right now, and it is asking something really big of me right now. And it helped me stay locked in to my process. It helped me not want to give up, because I knew, and I always know, whether you're attuning to astrology or just attuning to your heart, that nothing lasts forever, that nothing hard is always going to be hard. You can make your life always hard. Believe me, plenty of people do. But if you are a soul seeker, if you are a soul grower, if you are attuned, that everything has its place, and everything has its season, and everything has its purpose. And there's always this bum rush at the end of a year to want to be better, to want to make resolutions, to want to do this, that, and the other. And I think that feeling is made more so this year because 2025 is a 9-year, and in numerology, it's an ending. So all of this stuck, all of this hard, all of this high velocity intensity that we're ending this year with is in due process, because we're ending something really profound inside of ourselves and inside of our process and just inside of the paradigm that we have created. And the next year is setting up to be a 1 year, which is beginnings, and in the year of the horse, which is charging forward. And I kind of love this, but at the same time, if you want to charge forward, if your horse hoofs want to be a beat in the ground in 2026, then yeah, there's some shit to slop by the end of this year. There's a lot of endings, and some of us don't like to say goodbye. Some of us have a really hard time changing. Some of us really don't like what feels like is changing right now inside of us. It can bring up fear. It can bring up that Mars squaring Saturn response, us wanting to resist the lessons, wanting to resist what is deemed as authoritative in our world. So that's how we start off the week today. We'll see how that goes. Keep me posted, you guys. And then we have a hump day of the ages. Here comes Wednesday, being a diva. The cool thing is that Neptune's going direct, which, in astrology world isn't that big a deal because Neptune moves really slow. But whenever a planet changes direction, it's important to note Neptune is in Pisces, so it's been a little dreamy dreams. It's been a little elusive. It's been a little like hard to, we've been lost in the dream of it rather than the action of it. And so the act of Neptune going direct is a really beautiful thing because it's going to be heading towards Aries, which I love for us going into a 1 year, going into the year of the horse. I really ascribe a lot of Aryan energy with a horse vibe, with a very profound forward motion. So that's kind of cool. And so keep that note that now the dreams we're thinking, the dreams we're wishing, the dreams we're feeling are going in a forward direction, which means our intuition might be more turned on, our desires might be more noted, and the dreams that we are currently dreaming feel more attainable or will feel more attainable later. So then, though, we have Mercury opposing Uranus. With Mars squaring Saturn in the sky and Mercury opposing Uranus, our thoughts opposing big change. This feels vibes to me, you guys. Like, I don't really know how to describe it, and I'm so curious to see how it's going to unfold this week because it is like vive la resistance inside of ourselves. Like, the resistance of big change, the not wanting to do the work, but we have to do the work and we have to do the change. So how do we negotiate our warrior and our thoughts when we are being put up against the wall of our lessons and change? Whew. It's kind of big subject matter. Mars and Mercury are taking a very big seat this week, and our thoughts and our warrior, pen is mightier than the sword is what I always think of. So our thoughts are our intrinsic warriors. What we think is what we are putting out into the universe. This is a hard lesson for me because I am a toiler, because I'm a worrier, because I wake up at 5 a.m. most mornings thinking and worrying and wondering and wishing and hopeful too. The gang's all here in kind of a crazy way. I am the most anxious optimist I know, because deep down I do believe it's all going to work out, but this outdated process of needing to hyper control every little bit of it is getting old, guys. It's getting old inside of me. And so when I see this energy, I see a lot of my own patterns coming up and then how I want to rework and rewire them, because indeed I can. I am not a victim of my own circumstance. I am someone who became deeply rooted in worry. And I don't know if you're like that, but if you are, it can be a very hard thing to dig yourself out of. But delving deeper into my own astrology, I do know there is an end to that toil. And so I feel safe to toil because I know the solution will always be met. So then I think of those who toil who don't believe there will be a solution or an optimistic end. And I wonder about how those people do. And I wonder about how life shapes up for all of us as we are creating the reality that we live in. And that what's called for here this week is righteous accountability for that reality that we have created for ourselves. If you don't like something, change it. Oh, does change feel scary? Does learning our lessons feel shitty this week? Yeah, because maybe it's not going to come in a perfectly wrapped bow. Maybe it's going to come in the package that contains every single one of your triggers, every single one of those ways that you are stubborn to change, every single one of those ways that feel scary to change is going to be here and present and saying, hello, guess what? If you don't want to change those things, that's fine. But then you're not going to change. But then you're not going to open yourself up to what the beautiful next is. And for me, as a very avid reader, I am very attached to the beautiful next. I am very open to the plot twist. I am very in love with the hero's arc. Do I always love my own? No. But I love yours. And I invite you to start getting friendly with yours. That's what I'm doing. I'm getting acquainted with the blocks that I put in front of my own story that keeps me from being where I want to be. So vibes, you guys. Hump day is vibes. Because also Venus is squaring the nodes of fate. So the way we love and connect is having a hard aspect to fate, to what we need to let go of, in equal parts what we need to build back up. So, what does that look like? Irritation, fights, not feeling connected, not feeling loved, maybe. Or maybe feeling so loved that there can be movement here, that you can kind of see what you need to let go of versus what you need to build back up. And the vision can be clear, but the activating process of it is going to be a little sticky this week because a square is a hard aspect. So when Venus is squaring the nodes of fate, there is work to be done in how we are accepting love and how we are giving love. And I love that Venus is in this conversation because Mars is there too. So how we fight and how we love and what we think about it. Mars, Mercury, Venus. So what are you thinking about all the time? What is your love language? What is your fight language? And how do we recalibrate these? Because they're butting up against a hardship. They are butting up against the beautiful knock on the door that is saying, are you ready to go on a new adventure? And maybe you're not. So maybe this week is going to feel really hard because it's a big ask. It's a big ask to evolve, to shift, to change. And it's going to mask itself as being busy. But we're not just busy. And don't be busy for busy's sake. I want you to look at the busy as a representative of where you are at in your life. What have you accepted in this busy time? What are you allowing? What are you accepting? What are you saying is okay to stay busy at? What are you making important this week? Because that's the language I want you to shift it as. Like, yeah, we got some hard aspects. We're going to be butting up against a lot of really hard energy. But it's information for you to say, why is this really hard right now? So then Thursday, Mercury is going to reward us with a little trine, which is a lovely aspect to Neptune. So now that Neptune's gone direct, it's going to be tapping our mental shoulder and saying, okay, are you seeing what's hard? Did you feel that? Did you understand the mission? Are you understanding the mission? Do you get it? And maybe your mind is going to say, yeah, I kind of get it. And then it's going to enter Sagittarius, Mercury is. And Mercury going from Scorpio to Sagittarius is kind of amazing because we've had all of these scorpionic, very deep, rivers run deep thoughts that now want to take shape into motion. Sagittarius is an optimist, funny, sarcastic, life of the party, wants to be moving and ever needing freedom. So our brains are needing that release. Our brains are saying, I get it. When I can understand what the heart is trying to tell me, the heart loses its power and the path begins to get paved because there is a difference between hard and work. And hard work is the memo. We just got to work hard, guys. That's all. But if you're working hard to no end, if you're working hard without purpose, that's when all of the hard astrology is going to hit you the hardest. So then this weekend, Mercury does another lovely thing. It sextiles Pluto and it says, okay, now I can start to process how I want to transform a little bit more. Now I know I can't go back to the way I was before. I can't go back to the old versions of me. And that feels a little scary, but it also feels hella transformative. And then we end the week with Mars being a little bitch again, squaring Neptune. So Mars, your warrior is going to get popped, triggered. Your warrior is going to be like, if we were able to have this thought process around our dreams, and now Mars is like having a hard aspect to our dreams, it's almost like we are resisting the very trueness of ourselves. And that can feel a little bit scary. But then Mars is going to move into Capricorn. So I love this. It's happening a couple of different times, which I think is really neat, that there is this interesting aspect and then it moves. You know, Mercury having an interesting aspect to Neptune and then going into Sag. Neptune having all of these aspects and going direct. And now Mars having this hard aspect with Neptune and then moving into Capricorn. I want you to feel the pattern this week. I want you to feel that, everything comes to a head and then moves. Everything accumulates in my mind and then disperses. My emotions build up so intensely and then release. Catch and release. Catch and release. breathing in that oxygen, breathing out that carbon. It's like in with the good and out with the bad. But if you are still holding on to the bad, or if you are still holding on to a pattern, or if you are still attached to your routine, then this is going to feel tricky. This is going to feel spicy. And the card that I am pulling right now is milk and honey. And I love that because the harder we work, the bigger the reward. The more darkness we understand, the more light we are able to hold and see. So I love getting the card milk and honey because to me, we are being rewarded for the work we're willing to do. And it's interesting being a teacher because you kind of see that in a classroom vibe. It's like you're only able to get the grade that you're willing to work for. And every student is different. And every student's success point and every student's goal is different. And so you start to see patterns in different students' behavior because the truth is we are always judging ourselves. We always have a barometer of who we want to be, of what we are projecting out into the universe. And so it is met then with results. And when you're a student, you get those results, you know, in terms of grades and sports and theater and all the things that young people do. As an adult, it can be harder to measure. As an adult, no one's giving us a grade on how we're doing. We're the ones giving ourselves grades, and usually we're kind of crapping on ourselves and we're hard on ourselves. But we're hard on ourselves and then we don't make the evolutionary changes that would allow for growth and good tidings. But there's great love for us here. There is that milk and honey basket at the end of a very hard road. And you guys, I am trusting it. I am leaning into it. I am here for it. The world has surprised me on such a profound level this year that I can only feel inspired by what it's going to surprise me with next. For better or for worse. We have to say that. You know, when we marry each other, we say that. For better or for worse. Well, this week is a marrying to ourselves. For better or for worse, this is the path I choose. So make sure you're choosing a good one. Thank you so much for listening. May this week guide you, even if it's hard, to somewhere very profound inside of yourself. Please like, subscribe, share, comment. Let me know how the week is going. Always so curious to hear your thoughts. And as always, if you leave a review on my Apple podcast and you screenshot it and you DM me at my Instagram at Jasmine Lee Astrology, I will give you a free little tarot story. Could help right now in these dark, weird times to get a little story. So please do, and please keep in touch and have a beautiful week. I'll see you next week.